am so stoked to be joined by him again, to be bringing his brilliance to you. Ooh. Do you have a video up going? Maybe? Heard craziness.
Do I have my video going? What do I need to do? Let's see.
I don't know. Maybe it's playing on my side. Oh, I think I have a stream that's going. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're here. We had echo. It's awesome. So we are going to be diving into quiz funnels, what a quiz funnel is, how you can use it in your business, why it's so valuable, and my favorite piece about this, how it's actually the best thing for your community. Like, I love that it helps you to make more sales. I love it's going to help you to bring in more, more leads, more connections. But for me, Ryan, the thing that I love the most about quiz funnels is what they do for our community. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about this in detail, but what I love about this strategy is it's one of the few strategies that I've ever found online that you can feel really good about when you go to bed at night, when your head hits the pillow, because not only does it help you better sell, but more importantly, it helps you better serve at the same time. So it's one of these rare win-win scenarios where you win, you make more money, you get more results in your business, but more importantly, your community, your audience, your customers, your clients win as well, because you're ultimately able to better serve them. And you do that by putting the right product, the right message, the right piece of content in front of people at the right time based on their unique specific situation. So I'm excited to chat about this topic of quiz funnels here today.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. So it's so good. We've got loads of friends who are joining us already. So look at this. Cassandra says, she said, hi, Ryan. Yeah, right. And then she also says, hello, Molly Mahoney and World Changers. We are here helping you turn your message into a movement. That's the whole point of us being here. Okay, I just got to say, Ryan, Araya has messaged me like maybe 50 times about this. So Araya is awesome. She helps you to celebritize your business. Araya, I'm so glad you were able to join us today. This is so good. Ryan, are you cool if we do a giveaway today also?
I'm totally down. Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
So this is how we do it. We're going to do a nugget giveaway. And what we do is as we share different strategies, nuggets, things that come up today, we want you in the chat to share the hashtag nugget and then share what it was that you learned. So those of you that joined us the last time Ryan was here, you may remember that there was actually like the first tornado that ever had hit Southern California just on my house. And my internet cut out maybe 3 times. Well, just so that we keep things real, Ryan, tell us what's happening behind the scenes there in Austin.
Yeah, it's just the way it is, right, guys? And this is the reality of building a digital business, an online business like this. If you were following along, I'm based in Austin, Texas. And in Texas over this past winter, we had these critical ice storms that basically shut down the Texas power grid for almost 2 weeks. And so we were without power, we were without internet, we were without water for like this 2-week stretch in the middle of the winter. And we just got alerts from the Texas power grid that there's chances that beginning today, we could lose power as a state because the high temperatures are too much for the grid to handle. So it's like 110 degrees in parts of the state right now. And so they're saying, turn off your air conditioning, turn off your lights, turn off your power, turn off everything. And, it's just a bit of a tricky situation. So if we do lose power here today, you'll know what is going on, and fingers crossed, we can hang tight for our interview and conversation here today. But if I just disappear, then you know what's going on.
We know what's happening. And just to make sure, just in case something like that does happen, and I'm so grateful Ryan was able to be live and use it on his phone. So he's actually streaming from his phone right now, which is so awesome. Just in case something happens, Ryan, I just wanted to jump before we even do like a full real intro for those people who maybe are new to you. Can we just, in case you disappear, I just want to let them know about this awesome workshop that you're doing this afternoon as well. So can you just like right away tell us how we can get this? I'm putting the chat there, the link there in the chat, and I'm going to hide my video so you can tell us about the workshop, about this big idea that they can get a hold of, because it's so awesome.
Yeah, so we are right now in the middle of something that we only do once a year, and it's called our quiz funnel workshop. So if you're interested in doing a quiz, if you're interested in building a quiz funnel in your business, once a year, I do this totally free week-long workshop where we go through the process of how to come up with your quiz, how to create your quiz from start to finish. And we're in the middle of it right now. In fact, I'll be going live today at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. U.S. Pacific Time. You'll just have to convert that to your time zone, where we are in session 2 of this quiz funnel workshop, where we're going to be coming up with the big idea behind your quiz. So it's not too late to join us. It's a perfect time, plenty of time to catch up. If you want to join us, go to the link that you see on the screen. It's quizfunnel.com/Molly. What that'll do is that'll get you into the workshop. And we've got so many really cool things that we're giving away. We're giving away quiz funnel templates. We're going through tons of examples. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 types of quizzes, how to decide which one's right for you. And we're going to go through the process of coming up with your quiz topic and coming up with your quiz hook, the big idea behind your quiz. So go to that link if we get cut off along the way. And the time that we have here in this conversation, I'm excited to cover as much ground as we possibly can.
Yeah. And hopefully if you have questions, put those questions into the chat. We love that we're able to be here every week using our favorite way to live stream, be.live, and that allows us to see you. We are currently live, Ryan, on my Facebook business page, on my YouTube channel, on the Be Live Facebook page, my personal Facebook profile, and on LinkedIn. So we are like really putting it out there. So let us know where you're watching from in the world and also what platform you're on. And we're going to jump in to so much goodness. I want to see the nuggets flying across the screen. As always, you can also give us the word remind me, all one word, below this video. And if you're watching us on the Book of Faces, you'll be able to get a little message from Mollybot. She'll help you get reminded next time we're live. Ryan, I'm going to do something crazy that I never do, which is I am actually going to, I want a full drum roll. Y'all, if you're here right now, I want a full drum roll, which means I want all the likes and the hearts, like that, right in the chat, right there, all the likes and the hearts. And I'm actually going to read Ryan's bio because I would just talk about how awesome you are as a human, how you are like the best dad ever, simply because of the dinners that you make. Like, if you guys haven't seen the dinners that Ryan's making, they are so beautiful. I'm like, how do we sign up for Ryan's restaurant? But I think I should say something to really let you know, like business-wise, how awesome Ryan actually is. So I'm going to read this little bio that I have here, which I never do, but I'm going to do it. Ryan Levesque is the Inc. 500 CEO of the Ask Method Company, an entrepreneur, the #1 best-selling author of books Choose and Ask. If you have his books, let us know below because they are so good. His work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Harvard Business Review, USA Today, Forbes, Entrepreneur, NBC News, and Fox, and over 250,000 entrepreneurs subscribe to his email newsletter offering and business advice. Just a few people actually think that you've got it together, which is amazing. Oh my gosh. He also has built a highly profitable 10 million a year business across 23 different niche markets, building an email list for over 4.1 million people. Ryan, that like doesn't even seem real, but I know that it is because it's so cool how you've done this across so many niches. And it's all using the power of quiz funnels, which we are talking about today. He's also the co-founder of Bucket.io, which we use. You can see it if you go to molly.live/quiz and take our video creator type quiz, which I'm so excited. We finally just launched. It's so good. This is a leading quiz funnel software for entrepreneurs used by over, get it, wait for it, 30 million people each year. Ryan, that's cuckoo. So cool. And he's also a certified AFOL adult fan of Lego, which Ryan will tell you, Lego in its plural form is Lego. And my kids now know this, and we catch ourselves all the time when I say Legos. They're like, Mom, your friend Ryan said it's Lego. And he lives with his wife, Eileen, and their 2 boys in Austin, Texas. And we are just so grateful to have you here. I know you have so much going on right now. So it's so good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, listen, it's awesome to be here. I'm excited for the conversation. I love the activity. I love your audience. You've got just such an amazing community, such amazing audience. And so I see so many excited faces and folks that are here to be excited to be here. And I'm excited to dive right in. So, I'm ready when you're ready to
so
dive into all the good stuff.
Let's start with like, what is a quiz? Like why, like, what are we going to do? What are quiz funnels? Why quizzes? Tell us about this.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here specifically is a quiz funnel, right? And so a quiz funnel is not quite a quiz. It's not quite a funnel. It's just as if a quiz and a funnel got together, got married, and had a baby, you'd have a quiz funnel. So you're tapping into the psychology behind why quizzes are so successful. But at the end of the day, this is a tool to generate customers and clients in your business. So it's not one of these time-wasting quizzes that we've all seen on BuzzFeed, like what type of toast are you? Or what type of Disney character is your dog? What we're doing is we're creating a way to diagnose a person's situation so that we can ultimately prescribe the best next step for them. And you're tapping into this power of self-discovery, inviting people to discover something about themselves so that you can ultimately better sell to that person, but then also better serve them at the same time.
I love it. And that's what I was mentioning earlier that I love so much. So when it comes to this, like, what are the things in addition to my favorite, which you mentioned, which is to be able to sell and serve better, what are the other benefits that you've seen out of this? Because I'm going to say, like, it's not just that you're like, oh, what kind of dog are you? And then you make things up, right? There's a strategy behind this. I am so lucky to have gone through your whole, I mean, I went through your whole program as we took a lot of, yeah. Oh my gosh, I did every single thing. It was so awesome. And I took a lot of our community members through it too. So every week we would have our own little powwow. It was like, we really dug in and it was so good, Ryan. Like, it was so good. And the things that everybody learned about their own businesses as well as they were creating this. But it's not something that you can just go like, bloop, quiz out of my head and I'm going to put it together. There's a real strategy behind it. So
there's a science behind it. There's a strategy behind it. And, you know, I've kind of geeked out on this one thing for the last 10 years of my life and, you know, built an entire company around it. So this is what we do all day, every day. And like anything, like when you know, devote your life to something, you learn that there's a lot of nuance. The devil is in the details. And what you're looking for is the simplicity on the far side of complexity, right? If you've ever approached a topic before that you know nothing about, or that you've only learned a little bit about, it can feel daunting. You realize, gosh, there's a whole lot that I don't know. How do I kind of get to the truth? How do I get to the simplicity? And that's what we're talking about here. So, you know, I want to talk about 3 big reasons why quizzes are so effective. And I'll talk a little bit about the reasons behind why this is true. So the first reason why quiz funnels are so effective is incredibly cheap traffic, incredibly cheap leads. What I mean by that is you can often cut your cost per lead by anywhere from 30 to 90%, in some cases even more than that, on the back of a quiz. And I've got, I mean, literally hundreds of examples that I can think of. I can think of, you know, Mastin Kipp, for example. He's in the personal development space. He was spending $6 per lead, per email subscriber for his email list. And after he switched to a quiz, he's now generating leads at 76 cents per lead. So from $6 to 76 cents. I think of Sean Penrod. He's in the marathon running market. He was spending $2.59 per lead. Now he's spending 23 cents per lead.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. I think of Beryl Young. She's, you and Beryl will get along really well. She's got like the same hair that you have. She's always like doing crazy things with her hair. She's in the photography market. She's got a brand called Momtography. She was able to take her cost per lead from $1.67 to 14 cents per lead. Now, everyone always wants to know, why does that happen? Like, what is it? What's so
So what's so magical about that, right? What is so magical about that? I think is maybe what he was just about to say. I'm going to go solo for just a second because it looks like that Ryan and I have this thing where when we get together, I think the energy is just so high, right? that we got to do this. It's what happens. I did it to him last time and here we are. So the fact that you can bring in people for such a low cost, people who are signing up for your email list, people who are getting on your text message list. And I love, you know, rather than calling it a list, really calling it your community, because you can move people to that next step. So it's not only the fact that you're able to bring people in at a lower cost. One of the other things that Ryan has shared with me is the fact that it's high volume. So this is something that we've seen people share, people get excited about. If you've taken our quiz, I know we have some people who have. If you've taken our quiz, if you could let me know in the chat what your video creator type is, because we just launched ours recently and we've had such amazing feedback on it. So, Ryan is back. Hooray. We've got internet. It's
I'm
cool.
not sure what happened there. I guess we lost internet. We've been having kind of internet issues. I think there's been internet in our area that's been having issues. So we're trying to do the best that we can. I guess my phone was not happy, but fingers crossed we're back.
Okay.
And can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I was just moving. You were talking about the cheap, you know, you're able to get leads at inexpensive. Yeah. And that it's, I think you started to say the magic as you were cutting out there. I wasn't really sure,
yes,
but
yes. The magic, the magic of quizzes. Everyone wants to know, what is it about quizzes? Well, here's the thing. Quizzes create a ton of engagement. They create a ton of engagement. So if you do an organic post on Facebook or a paid post, a paid advertisement on Facebook, what happens is this. You'll find that with a quiz, people will comment on that quiz ad. They'll share their results. They'll say, oh, my type is type A. What was your type? Who else got type A? So there's a ton of engagement that happens. Now, when that happens on a platform like Facebook, Facebook looks at that and they reward you as an advertiser. They say, all right, you're getting a ton of engagement. Let's make it less expensive for you to advertise because it is it's a better quality experience for users on the platform, right? So that's the first factor at play. Second factor at play is this. when people take a quiz and it's an irresistible quiz, it's a really well done quiz funnel. What happens is people want to share it. So they hit that share button on Facebook. They share it with their friends, their colleagues. They tag other people. Now, what happens when someone shares your stuff? You get what's called free traffic because you're not paying any more for that. So it drives down your cost to advertise because the platforms like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Google and LinkedIn and Pinterest and all the platforms out there are rewarding you for your engagement and you're getting free traffic. So you can cut your cost per lead down by anywhere from 30 to 90%. So that's the first factor. Second factor is that not only do you get incredibly cheap traffic, a cheap way to build your audience and build your community, but these leads that you generate in your business have incredibly high conversion. And oftentimes you can double or even triple your conversion rate on the back of a quiz. And the reason for that is because you can customize your copy, your content, your message, the offer that you put in front of someone based on their results. So instead of selling to everybody in a one size fits all way, you can customize things. And I'll give you guys a pro tip. Like this is definitely #nugget. If you customize just one thing on the back of your quiz, do this. Customize the case study that you share with people.
Ooh, so good.
With people. A big mistake that I see people make all the time is they have what's called a testimonial mismatch. They've got a great testimonial in their business, but for example, it might be a testimonial from an expert. And someone who's a complete beginner in your space is going to look at that testimonial and say, you know what? I know they've got great things to say about you, but I'm not like them. That person is very different from me. So what you do is use your quiz to put in front of people the best testimonial, the best case study, the best example that you can think of so it resonates with their situation. So incredibly high conversion is number 2. The third and final reason that I'll talk about, given that our time is a little bit compressed here, is incredibly fast results. So Molly, you and I both know that when it comes to building an audience, that there are some strategies out there that, as effective as they are, take time. Like it just takes time to build your audience. And so, for example, you know, if you've ever tried to build an audience for a podcast or a YouTube channel or a blog following or any of these things, you know, it can take time. Now it's very effective once it happens, but it just takes a little bit more time to get results. A quiz, the results can come really, really, really fast. And the reason for that is a well-designed quiz can go completely viral overnight. And I'll give you a few examples of this. I think of Jamal Miller. In the Christian singles market, he was starting with no business, no website, no product, nothing. He creates a quiz.
Why are you still already? Because I've seen his video of his case study, and it's like the greatest thing ever, actually. So I'm like getting teary-eyed because it's so good.
It pulls at your heartstrings, right? So here's this guy. So I'll set the stage. Young guy in his 20s. He's about to become a dad for the first time. His wife Natasha is literally pregnant. And is in her 3rd trimester, like about to give birth to their baby. And he's saying to himself, I'm going to be a dad. I've got to step it up. And at the time, he was making $17 an hour working at a nonprofit affiliated with his church. And he's saying, I got to hustle. Like there's a clock. This baby is coming. And it does not matter what I do. This baby is coming no matter what. So he says, I've got to hustle. So he decided to create this quiz. He heard about the power of a quiz funnel. He created it. First time, no experience, nothing. Creates this quiz. Why are you still single? Take the quiz to find out now. Quiz goes completely viral. Over 10,000 people take the quiz in less than 2 weeks. He gets so many people. I remember when he reached out to me, he said, Ryan, like I've got 10,000 people who have joined my community, who have joined my email list. I've got nothing to sell these people. I said, well, do this. Ask them what they need help with. Send a survey to them. Put a survey in front of them. And he asked them what they needed help with. And at the end of the day, what they really needed help with was finding the one. These were people who were looking to find their partner, the love of their life. They're looking to find the one. So he said, you know what? I'll create a community. I'll create a paid community that's specifically designed to help people find the one, to meet the one that they are, you know, that they're looking for. So he created this community, launches it to this group of people, sells it for something like $27 a month. He makes over $20,000 a month in recurring revenue just launching his membership to the 10,000 people who took his quiz. And he calls up the nonprofit and says, all right, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do this full time. 2 weeks later, his daughter is born and like he's off to the races. So, you know, results can happen really, really, really fast. And Molly, you've heard me share so many different stories of people who have, like Janine Alley. She did a podcast for 2 years. 2 years she did a podcast every single week. She got something like 13 customers in 2 years on the back of this podcast. She launches a quiz funnel, 16 days. She gets 370 leads in the first 2 months.
It's so good.
16 days. She generated more results in 16 days than she did in almost 2 years of doing a podcast. So, you know, I have nothing against podcasts. They're great. You can use a quiz, by the way, to launch your podcast. So if you're thinking about doing a podcast, do a quiz, and then you build this massive audience to launch your podcast to. I like to tell people, if you're starting from scratch, the most important thing that you need is a line of people out the door, a starving crowd. Like if you're opening up a restaurant or any business, the thing that's going to set you up for success is a line of people out the door waiting for you to open doors to your business. So that way, when you open the doors, you can say, come in. Like you're going to be successful out of the gate. And that's what you're doing. You're doing it with what we call a pre-launch quiz, to launch your next product, your next program, your next book, your next business, whatever that may be. So incredibly fast results is reason number 3.
And I think one of the things that I love, another thing that I love so much about it is the way that it works so well in conjunction with what we're doing here too. So like if you take a podcast, for example, one of the things, and I know podcasts work so well, but one of the things about podcasts that make me like, oh, is that there's not the ability to have comments on the podcast while you're listening. So you can't immediately follow up, right? So what it does is not only does a quiz help to drive more traffic to your visibility mechanism, whether it's a podcast, a live video, that type of thing. Also, though, it gives you instantly the chance to be able, like on a podcast, now that we finally have our quiz, which I'm so stoked to like really get it out. We've kind of done a little soft launch here behind the scenes. And already, I just have to say, we have a Slack channel when calls get booked on our team. And her name is Bobby. She's named after my grandma, our little bot. And like Bobby Bot freaked out the day that we shared our quiz. So it was awesome because so many people went through to that next step to book a call as well, which was so cool. But it's a really easy way to use, like you say, a word of mouth link, right? Those little short links, you can say molly.live/quiz, and anybody can go to that video creator type quiz right there. We can learn more about each other. They can move to that next step, whatever it is that it's best for them. So
it's a great engagement strategy. I mean, we did this on Clubhouse the other day. So Molly and I did a Clubhouse session the other day, and we're just talking about how, like, for example, you know, you get a bunch of people in a room, in a Facebook community, in a conversation like this. It's a great involvement mechanism. Like right now, we could say, all right, you know, we've got a quiz. You can take it. It's called takethefunnelquiz.com, and you can find out what type of funnel is right for you. And so, like, we could right now say, like, everyone take the quiz, go through the quiz, find out what your results are, and then we could chat about it. We could share, all right, who got CSQF? Who got ECQF? Like, how many people are type 1? How many people are type 2? And it's this great engagement strategy that you can use over and over and over again. And it becomes this great conversation starter where people say, all right, that's my type. Now what? What do I do next?
And it brings the community.
And that's what they're waiting for you to tell them their next step, which is, like you said, why it's so effective to take people from a quiz to then want to become one of your clients, because they're learning a bit about themselves. You're giving them what we call the Band-Aid. But at the end of the day, if they want to solve their underlying problem, that they want to solve the real issue that's beneath the surface, well, that's where your cure comes in. And your cure is your paid product or service. So the quiz gives people the Band-Aid for free. Your paid product or service gives them the cure. And that's the flow that you're taking people through when you take them through a quiz funnel.
I love it so much. And this actually leads into another question that I had for you, which is, what is it that makes quiz funnels work so well? But before we do that, I know we've had some people who have jumped in just recently with us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this little question. We're going to come to that question next. I'm going to put you solo mode, and then I'm going to bring up our little quiz into the screen, and I clicked the wrong button in the wrong order. But I want you to be able to tell us about this big idea thing again, because I think some people may be wondering, like, okay, this sounds cool, but how do I even know what to create our quiz about? And so tell us how we can get more information about that.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're doing today. So I'm going live every single day this week. And today we're talking about the big idea. So if you're just jumping in, just getting started, your timing is perfect, because this is the first step in the process, is coming up with your big idea behind your quiz. So what we're going to cover here today is we're going to cover how to come up with the big idea behind your quiz. We're going to cover how to figure out which of the 3 types of quizzes is right for you, how to come up with your quiz topic. We're going to cover the 5 biggest mistakes that people make at this stage of the process and how to avoid making them. And I'm going to go through dozens of examples. So if you're the type of person that likes to see other businesses, other entrepreneurs, other examples in markets similar to yours, selling similar products to what it is that you're selling at similar price points, we're going to cover all that and more in today's session where we cover the big idea behind your quiz. I'm even going to give you access to this really cool custom calculator that we created to estimate and determine the profit potential of your quiz. I'm going to show you exactly how to use that. So if you're the type of person that kind of likes to geek out over numbers and see, well, how much would a quiz be worth to you and your business? I've got this really cool calculator I'm going to share with you on the training as well. So the way to get there is to go to the link quizfunnel.com/Molly. Make sure that you register there, quizfunnel.com/Molly. It's as easy to remember as possible. And I go live today at 3 p.m. So 90 minutes from this very moment in time. And if you happen to be catching a replay of this or a different time or whatever, you can catch a recap of these trainings by going to that same link. So quizfunnel.com/Molly, you'll be able to catch up on anything that you've missed, and you'll be able to catch up on the next live session that we do.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. So know that you can go there right now and grab that. And thank you so much for mentioning the replay, because you're so right. We always have people who are coming in the replay. And so if you're watching this in the replay, we got you. Give us the word replay below. Make sure you go grab that. Okay. I also will say I was surprised at what we ended up coming up with, our video creator type for our quiz. We followed exactly what Ryan suggested for it, and it's been something that people have loved so much. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get into the question that I asked, which was, what makes them work so well? Like, why do they work so well?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things that are going on, but there are 3 psychological forces that I'll talk about, and then I'll explain kind of at the end of the day, if we zoom up one level, why quizzes are just so effective. So reason number 1, the first psychological force is what we call the power of self-discovery. You're offering people the promise to discover something about themselves, which is irresistible. And it doesn't matter what you sell, doesn't matter what market you're in. People are the same way. The thing that people care about more than anything else, me, myself, and I. Tell me more about me. Like, that's what everybody wants, right? Like, tell me more about me. And so what you're doing is you're tapping into this offer of self-discovery to teach people something about themselves. It's why if you've ever taken a personality test, like the Kolbe assessment or Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram or StrengthsFinder or the DISC assessment.
Let's find out.
Or
if you're
the
here, oh, love languages, totally. Let's see, which of these have you taken? Like StrengthsFinder, Kolbe. I'll write it in the chat. I want to know what you've taken. We actually had just this past week, 2 of our team members got certified in Kolbe, which I think is going to be so cool. So we're going to be able to bring that more into the world. Like, there's a whole certification around that quiz. Like, all of these, I think they're, it's proven that these work. Like StrengthsFinder, what are some of the, so it's crazy. I wish I had the book in front of me. It's on my bookshelf around the corner, but StrengthsFinder test, over 20 million people have taken that test. Like, that's insane. 20 million people have gone through the process. It's something like, I don't know if it's 500 million people have taken the Myers-Briggs test across the world. Like, it's insane. And the reason for that is because people want to learn more about themselves. Like, we all have this innate desire to learn more about who we are. And you're tapping into that with the power of self-discovery. So that's force number 1. Force number 2 is the power of micro commitments. So a big mistake that people make online is they ask for too much too soon, right? You've got to date before you get married. Like, you've got to ask for that first date before you get down on one knee and say, hey, will you marry me? But we oftentimes do too much too soon. But with the quiz funnel, what you're doing is you're asking people a series of multiple choice, non-threatening questions, one at a time, to get to know that person a little bit better so that you can customize the way in which you speak to them. So a micro commitment is where you ask people to take one tiny little baby step at a time. Think about it like stepping stones to cross the river. If you're asking someone to jump across the river in one big step, like my dog, for example, if you try to say, hey, jump across the river, she's going to be like, no. Or she's going to fall and drown, like either way.
Yeah, it's too much. We get scared off, right? The fight or flight response kicks in and we say, no. But you put a few stepping stones in front of your audience and they can take that little baby step. They can take that little micro commitment step that eventually leads to say, you know what? Now that there's some action taking momentum, maybe I will take that next step with you and watch your training, watch your webinar, get on a discovery call with you, sign up for your product. You're taking people one little step at a time. So that's the second psychological force, is the power of micro commitments. And the last one is the flow that every successful quiz funnel has. And it's what we call attract, diagnose, prescribe. Every successful quiz funnel uses a quiz to attract the right type of people into your world so that you can diagnose their situation just like a doctor and then ultimately prescribe the best next step for them. So think about that flow: attract, diagnose, prescribe. So those are the 3 forces why quizzes are so effective. But at the end of the day, if we zoom up one level, it all comes down to this. If you think about it, when you ask people in your audience to take the next step with you, to download your thing, to sign up for your whatever, what do you say? You're saying, click the link below to what? Download my ebook. Click the link below to download my whatever. Click the link below to watch my video. Versus with the quiz, listen how the conversation is a little bit different. Click the link below to find out your results. See how it takes it all away from being about me and all about you? So what you're doing there is you're saying the sweetest word in marketing, and you're speaking directly to your customer, which is it's all about them. It's all about you. So you're demonstrating your empathy, your understanding,
my favorite word,
curiosity for who they are.
Yes, it's so good. And it's something that then can last for a long time. Like once, I know you can have multiple quizzes and you have several different things, but like this is something that I think you can continue to bring people in. Like even, I don't know why I didn't think about this sooner, but one of our highest trafficked pages on my website, which is kind of a sore subject for me, is what's your actor type? Because I was a coach for actors in the past, for performers. Now I have this what's your video creator type quiz. Like you would have thought that I would have put that together as Google's like, Molly, you're getting so much traffic from this question. Hello. So, I mean, this is something that I think it really can be a foundation. It is a foundational piece that can last for so long. I want to go back just a little bit because I think some people may be thinking like, okay, but I'm in a weird, niche. I sell tiki mugs. Like, what do I do? And you are always my example of like, wait a minute. Like when you talk about niching down and being specific for your audience, like you're the only human I know who really has like 70 million different niches that work with your strategy. So can you tell us like what markets this will work in?
Yeah, so I think it's a fact. It comes down to the fact that when I first came into this world of building an online business, I started in weird niche markets. Yes. So my first weird niche market was the Scrabble tile jewelry market. Yeah, it's a thing. Don't judge me. My wife suggested it. We went into it. We made money in it. Okay. I'm just going to leave it at that. So Scrabble tile jewelry. We went into the orchid care market. We went into the memory market. So the memory training market to teach people memory techniques. We went into violet care, fish oil supplements, satellite television. I mean, I could go on and on. We went into 23 different sort of weird niche markets. And I kept having success after success using this process, like knowing nothing about a market, going into in a market. I was not an expert in any of these spaces. Use the power of a quiz funnel to build an audience, to have that line of people out the door, that starving crowd, and would ask that market, what do you need help with? And would just give it to them. In some cases, we would create our own products. In other cases, we'd partner with other people. In other cases, we'd sell other people's products as an affiliate, but we just had success after success. So, those are the markets that I had success in. But just like off the top of my head, Jennifer Lee just launched a quiz in the quilting market. She generated 11,998 leads in just a matter of weeks. I think of Gabby Rast. She is in the horse training market. So she trains horses. By the way, they have a great story. She and her husband, she's Austrian. Her husband, Thomas, is German. They live in France and they sell to horse owners around the world. So,
cool. We have a couple people in the horse training market here, actually. I wonder.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. The horse training market. The parenting market, the art market, the publishing markets, tennis market, golf markets. I mean, I could literally insurance, real estate. We could go on for ages and ages and ages. The fact of the matter is what's beautiful about this strategy is you can use it both in what are considered like bigger markets, like weight loss or in the marketing business market, but you can also use it in these tiny little obscure niche markets as well. And to your point, there are hundreds of examples that we could go through of folks who have done that.
Okay, two things I really love. One is this does what we're always talking about, what Mr. Rogers did, which is it builds conversations that scale. Because the quiz is kind of like a live video where it is asking you a question, you're responding. It's coming like from your voice to them, they're responding, they get that result from the video. At the end, it's like, hey, here's the diagnosis, the prescription for you. It feels very specific. So I love that piece of it. It is so building conversations at scale. And then the other thing that I really love, when you give these case studies, like that golf one I think of all the time, I love looking at other niches and seeing how things work. Like what's the golf one that you talk about? The swing killer or
Painkiller quiz. Yeah, take this quiz to find out what mistake you're making in your golf swing. So every golfer, from the ranked beginner to the seasoned tour pro, has one of 10 things that they're doing in their swing that is holding them back from hitting with power, distance, and consistency. And so there's this quiz that you can take to identify what you're doing wrong in your swing. And so the quiz will ask you a series of questions like where the ball tends to go when you hit, what your stance most looks like, what you tend to do with your hands, all these different questions. And based on your answers, will help identify what you might be doing wrong with your swing. And we call it a swing killer. So it's a great example. We've had over 10,000 golfers a day take that quiz, which is like insane to me. Like every day I wake up and I wonder, like, are there any more golfers in the world who have not yet taken this quiz? And then the next day, 10,000 more people take this quiz. It's insane, like what you can do with one of these quiz funnels.
I haven't been golfing since I was like 13. I used to go with my grandpa, but we're going to go golfing on Father's Day. Like that weekend, we're going to Palm Desert. We leave on Friday. It's going to be 126. I don't know what we're thinking, but we are going to be golfing there. And I think I'm going to have to take that quiz, actually. I'm going to become the golfer that needs to take that quiz. But my point with that quiz is that you can look at this contextually. So as you're watching this, as Ryan is sharing these examples, look at how you can apply that to you. So like I could do your video killer quiz. Like what's the thing that's stopping your videos from converting? These things translate so well between the niches. And I think because you have such a robust, amazing community of people in so many different niches, it's a really great way for people to learn from the community too. So when you join Ryan for this workshop, you'll be able to see some of these comments and different niches and industries and such. I don't know, something is happening. Do you see what's happening behind the scenes?
With me?
No, I don't know. Someone just joined our link, which I'm not sure because that's never happened to me. You didn't have a friend joining us, did you?
I do not have a friend joining us, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, someone named Richard just came into the room here, and I don't know who that was. So somebody got our guest link. Ryan, you are the one person that like weird things happen with. I don't know what it is. It's so funny.
Hey, you know what? We like it's Austin. Keep it weird, man. That's what we like to do. Yeah, Tim gives a great example here. I love Tim's story. Will Hamilton from Fuzzy Yellow Balls in the tennis space. He's created a dozen different quiz funnels. So I like to tell people your first quiz is unlikely to be your last quiz. And if you're stuck right now, like if you're saying like, I like this idea, but I'm not quite sure, start with a practice quiz. Just start with something so you can learn the process. So for those of you joining this afternoon, and yes, by the way, the session this afternoon is totally free. I saw that question come through. So it's totally free. If you go to quizfunnel.com/Molly, I'll be talking about this in a little bit more detail later on this afternoon. But if you're stuck, just start with a practice quiz. Pick something. I mean, that's exactly what I did. Like I put so much pressure on myself when I was starting my first business. I said, all right, I got to get this perfect. It's got to be my life's work. And all the things that we tell ourselves, right? The perfection paralysis. And at some point I said, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do a practice thing, a practice business, a practice quiz. We'll see how it turns out. And that little practice business ended up growing to over $500,000 a year. So you never know like where your first idea is going to take you. But I share that to let you know that your first quiz is unlikely to be your last. If you're like Will Hamilton in the tennis space, he has over 6 or 7 quizzes now in that space. Serve killers, forehand killers, backhand killers, mental game killers, doubles killers. I mean, the list goes on. So once you get one of these quizzes going, they can, I'm going to warn you, this is like my Surgeon General's warning, they can be addictive. Like creating quizzes is a lot of fun. That's why I love what I do. It's a lot of fun to create quizzes. And what ends up happening is as you create more quizzes in your business, you start attracting people who like these quizzes. So once you have someone in your world who's taken one quiz, they want to take the next quiz and then the next quiz after that. And then they share their friends and it grows your business virally. It grows your audience exponentially because people share it with their friends and it can grow really, really quickly. So just a few kind of words to think about for those of you just getting started.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And it's so true. You're going to learn so much by just jumping in. And I definitely already have a little bit of the like, well, when's our next one going to be, right? We've got to fully launch ours out there, which I'm really excited about, but I'm already feeling that little bit of the addictiveness of it. So as we start playing, what are the biggest mistakes? I always love to ask our guests what the biggest mistakes are that people make, because I know there are many people who are here who are going to want to jump in and put this into action. So how can you help us to avoid falling in a pit?
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the biggest mistakes. So I'll talk about 3 of them right now, given the time that we have, and I know we'll have to wrap soon here. But mistake number 1 is the wrong offer. So I mentioned this earlier, but I'll say it again. These quiz funnels are designed in such a way that your goal is to sell something to people after they take your quiz. It's not one of these BuzzFeed quizzes, like I said a moment ago, what Harry Potter character are you? Take the quiz to find out. Now, those quizzes are great. They're a lot of fun. You get a bunch of people taking those quizzes, but they're not going to convert from a quiz taker into a customer. So the wrong offer is mistake number one. Mistake number two is the wrong hook. So we talked a little bit about the importance of the big idea. You want to create a quiz that attracts your ideal audience. So start with the end in mind. Ask yourself, what is the next step you want someone to take after they take your quiz? Like the quiz isn't a dead end. Like the quiz is the first step that someone takes in your world to go to the next thing. Is it to watch your video? Is it to buy your product? Is it to join your community? Is it to sign up for your challenge? Is it to watch your webinar? Is it to get on the phone with you and have a strategy session? What's that next step that you want someone to take after they take the quiz? Ask yourself, what is an idea? What is the concept that's going to attract the right type of person? So the wrong hook, the wrong big idea is mistake number two. And finally, mistake number three is asking the wrong questions. Remember, the purpose of this quiz is to do two things: to diagnose that person's situation so that you can prescribe the best next step, but it's also designed so that you can create desire and demand. You want to create desire and demand for your product, for your service through the quiz. So you got to ask questions very strategically. Now, there's an entire science behind question sequencing, question ordering, the number of options, the number of answers, the number of questions, and so on and so forth. What I will say is this: one of the first things everyone always wants to know is, how many questions should I ask in my quiz? And we've studied this. So again, we have a quiz funnel technology used by over 30 million people every single year. We've had over 12,000 quiz funnels built on our platform. 12,000. We have access to over 200 million data points. So we have access to more data on the topic of quiz funnels than any other platform in the world. And what we found is that the most successful quiz funnels all fall within a specific range. They all have between 5 and 12 questions, between 5 and 12. Now, why is that? I don't know for sure, but my theory is you've got to ask for enough information on a quiz so that both people feel heard and that they feel that the diagnosis you're giving people, the prescription, is accurate. Like, after all, you can't walk into the doctor's office and say, hey, doc, I hurt my wrist. Can you tell me what might be wrong? And your doctor, she says, I've got one question for you. Is it your left wrist or your right wrist? And you're like, my right wrist. And she's like, aha, I know exactly what it is. You're not going to believe it. You're like, how could you possibly know? You haven't asked for enough information. So you've got to ask for enough information that your diagnosis, that your prescription is believable. But on the flip side, you can't ask for 100 questions because people in most cases are going to be taking your quiz right here on their phone. They're not going to have the patience to sit through a quiz that's going to take them, an hour to complete. This is a marketing quiz. Remember that. The purpose of this quiz is to convert traffic into leads, customers, and clients for your business. It's not designed to diagnose if someone has a life-threatening illness. It's not that type of quiz. It's specifically designed to put people into one of several buckets so that you can customize your messaging, your content, your offers, and the way in which you communicate to them so they can take that next step. So those are the three biggest mistakes: wrong offer, wrong hook, wrong questions. And we're actually going to be talking about each of those three things in today's workshop later this afternoon. And I saw people ask, the link again is quizfunnel.com/Molly. quizfunnel.com/MOLLY to join us at the workshop. And we're kicking off in just like about an hour, which means I'm going to have to run here in a minute to get prepped for this thing. But I wanted to say this, for anybody who's interested or even just curious on how to do this, I encourage you to just join the workshop. It's totally free. I only do this once a year. It's like a once a year thing. The last time that we did this was over a year ago. And if you're interested or even just curious, I would hate for you to miss this window. If you can't make it live, we do make the replays of each session available for a very brief amount of time, so you can catch it later in the day or the next morning. But with that being said, I'd love to invite everyone here to join us. We're going to dive in, have some fun, and go from there.
And I just have to say again, I went through the whole workshop last year. And then, like I said, I also ended up joining your program last year. And even, we did our first $1 million in collected revenue last year, which I was pretty proud of us for. And I know what, the year before we had done $1 million in sales, which I was also pretty proud of, but like actual collected revenue is a big difference between sales, right? And even at this level where we have several amazing clients, and I see y'all here in the chat, we have several amazing team members, and I feel like we've got a lot of stuff figured out. There were so many little little nuances that you share and the way that you explain things. I don't know if I've ever been through a program that is very marketing focused and this type of thing that is so clear. And I really do feel is so step by step where I swear, Ryan, you have tested more things than any human I've ever met before in my life, where there's like actual scientific, real data behind it.
We like to test. What can I say? I came into this world like in the online marketing world, very skeptical. And I was also a very risk averse person. I grew up, working class. Neither of my parents went to college. My dad worked nights shipping boxes and loading boxes on the back of a truck. He worked a union job. So, union job is like basically kind of as safe as it gets, right? He was a lifer doing this thing. So I grew up in a very risk averse household. Like I grew up in this household where you get a job, you work at that job for 50 years, and then you retire on a pension. Like that was the paradigm. So when this idea of risking my own money and risking I was so nervous and so scared to do this that I tested everything in very small ways. So I would test with $5. And then I would test with $50. And once it worked, I'd spend a little bit more money. So I became sort of obsessive over this idea of testing. And so for anybody who's a bit risk averse, a little bit scared to kind of take risks, I can identify with that. But as you mentioned, the process that we developed is such that every element of it has been tested. It's been stress tested. It's been used. We've done it in 23 different businesses. I've had clients, customers, and students who have literally done it now in thousands of businesses. We've guided people to the summit of this mountain thousands of times. I know how to get you to the summit. All you got to do is say, all right, I'm in, sign me up. And we go to the summit. I take you to the top, get you to where you want to go, and it all begins today. So I'd love to invite anyone here who's interested in joining to go to that link, quizfunnel.com/Molly, and we're going to have some fun.
It's so good. And if you're someone who is not risk averse like I am, where you will just like jump and do things that make absolutely no sense, I am so grateful that Ryan has tested these things, because even when I send emails, I think about the trainings that you had in there that were like, you've got so much knowledge about so much. And I'm like, always like, oh, Ryan tested this, so I'm going to follow Ryan's advice, which I love. I am so grateful for you. I know you've got to hop off. This has been so awesome. We have a couple of questions. Jane says, will the workshop be in the Facebook group? Is that where the workshop is happening?
It's a dedicated page. So when you go to quizfunnel.com/Molly, it's going to sign you up. You'll get an alert, and the workshop will be happening on a dedicated page outside of Facebook. And that link will be sent to you. So it's on a special page. We do things in a kind of like this, but not using this exact technology, just on a different page. So that way, we can take great care of yourself.
Yeah.
It's more stable. Facebook is just, sometimes it goes, Facebook went down for us yesterday. It goes down, it goes up. So just a little bit safer. We had, 3,000 people live on, the other day. So cool. Yeah, it's big numbers.
Oh my gosh, it's so awesome. And we had one question come through about Nancy says, Molly, your video is so clear and brighter than before. Not sure what you changed, but it looks good. So actually I was telling Ryan this beforehand. For the past couple of months, I've been using this fancy Mevo camera, which was a wireless camera, and it connected with BeLive, but it was wireless. So today I decided, you know what? Screw all this fancy stuff. I'm just going to go back to my full regular desktop camera, and it turns out that works better than anything else. So one more shout out. We love BeLive so much. So if you're not using BeLive, we're just so grateful that we can hop on. Ryan can hop on from his phone. He can hop on literally from anywhere. BeLive is always the sponsor of our show. We're so grateful for them. And if you want to be a partner with them as well, you can do that. I'll put the link for that in the chat. Ryan, do you want to leave us with a final word before we hop off?
Yeah, the last thing that I'll say before I got to run here is a piece of advice one of my mentors once gave me has always stuck with me. And he said, Ryan, remember, you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. But the best time to get it going is today. So don't put this off. My micro commitment invitation to you is join us for the workshop. And today on the workshop this afternoon, in less than about an hour from now, if you're watching this live, I'm going to be giving you your very first assignment here today. And this micro commitment assignment is designed to create a ton of momentum. So take this first step, do it today. I want to invite you to join us, and we're going to have a great time.
So good. I so agree. Action. The only way that this actually is going to work is if you show up and do it. So first step, show up. Then stay in action, take action and stay in action. Ryan, thank you so much. I'm going to let you run. This has been so awesome. I'm so grateful. I'll be coming back into the chat to see. I see there's a couple more questions that came through. I'll come back and make sure that I get some of those. Cole Whitty, I'm so glad you're here. She's in Austin too, and maybe melting like you are. This has been so awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the workshop. Bye-bye.
So good. As always, it's my absolute pleasure to help you to unlock your inner awesome and elevate it so that you can turn your message into a movement. So good. We'll see you soon.